Good morning, everyone. My co-teacher's here. This little one, Bindi, she was in the kitten urgent care department last night with me. I mean, I was in the parking lot as they do during the pandemic. And this one, little mini panda here, she was worried until we came home. Everyone's going to be fine. So I'm glad to say that the yoga is effective. In other words, for me to take a kitten across town to the urgent care clinic, well, I don't actually drive farther than acupuncture inside the city grid. I can't drive that well. I haven't been doing it since my brain injury. And we had to wait a long time. So we were there until it was dark, which meant I had to drive home in the dark, which means it's very dark, but there's headlights from one direction, and then the headlights that come from the sides, and then the headlights in your side view mirrors and your rear view mirror. And I'm sure that all of you know what I'm talking about. I just haven't done it for a couple of years. So when I came home, I was spent. My sister wanted me to call her, but I wasn't up to it. So when I say the yoga works, what I mean is I then went to bed with these guys and a hot water bottle. They slept really well until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then there was no sleeping really. And then they went back to sleep at 4 a.m. and so did I. And I got up at 5 for my practice and, you know, the Shavasana and meditation, and I feel restored and whole. I also got to meet with my teacher this morning from Mysore, which is why I'm wearing my new student outfit. There's a new course starting with him that I'm in, starts next weekend. And so that's the nature of yoga, right? When you have a life event that needs your attention, you still have your practice. You still give yourself that opportunity. And this week we've been talking about Asteya, the yama of non-stealing. So you still give yourself the opportunity to make the day feel nourishing and dedicated and grounded. Even if you go to urgent care on a Friday night, you still have your Saturday morning yoga practice. So she seems to have no, she's over here. Here you are. There you go. She seems to have no bad effects from having been there. You know, just the trauma of being poked and prodded, but she's back to herself this morning. So yeah, you want to say hi? Let's see. Hi, everyone. Yeah. Okay, you're spunky just like you always were. All right, let's take a comfortable seat. We're going to get started. And my focus today is going to be one more class where we're really looking at Asteya. And then tomorrow I'll be looking at the next of the yamas called Brahmacharya. And you'll start seeing how they're also interrelated, how the yamas and niyamas are interrelated. So please rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes. You want to close your eyes, honey? I know you're looking for cat treats. Don't take that which has not been given to you. Yogic teachings for kitties. Okay, so please do find your place and your sense of center. And when you feel yourself arriving, let's start with the sense of the outer body. So like the environment that you're sitting in. Its temperature and shape and color. Then come to the outer body where you might feel your hair on your face or your neck, your clothing on your skin, the temperature of or the movement of air against your skin. and the places where you're connected to the ground. Go a layer deeper than that and try to sense the musculoskeletal body as a structure, right? So muscles and bones and connective tissue. There's an inner structure that supports you to be upright right now. Can you sense that at the musculoskeletal level? Go deeper yet than that and see if you might sense like the rhythmic experience of the nervous system, the nerve pathways, the conduction of information out to and back towards your body and your brain. If you could sense the circulation from the heart out to the periphery, from the periphery back to the heart. And then to the breath itself, noticing even a very subtle resting breath, the natural breath. And deeper than the breath, this subtle experience of the senses in the interior, not the senses looking to the exterior. Moving even more subtle than that, to see if you might tap into a kind of deep inner knowing, like a felt sense of some intelligence in you that isn't about your daily life operations. Even more subtle and deeper than that, this indwelling, what we call ananda, a felt sense of belonging, this unconditional regard, a sense of belonging that isn't dependent on, is not contingent upon, but is already true. Yoga is asking us to come back home to remember, to reunite. Yoga means uniting, to reconnect with that which we most deeply are. So if we were to be fixated, for example, on the outer life or getting the right decorations or getting the physical structure of the poses, if we were fixated on that, we might not give ourselves the fullness of the opportunity to come inside like this. We want to use the scaffold of the outer life and the body and so on, and all these resources to come back home. But we don't want to be detoured by or mesmerized by those things and pulled away from this ananda. So the word asteya can mean not stealing this opportunity even from yourself by becoming mesmerized with things that aren't the deepest, truest you, nor becoming fixated on the things that you find to be your flaws and the story that you tell yourself that until those flaws are resolved, somehow you wouldn't get to belong. So with this in mind and in our hearts, please join your palms together. And we'll chant Asatoma Satgamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityodama Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityodama Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityodama Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Bow your head to your heart. Release your hands, please, and open your eyes. So I'd like to take us through a practice this morning that I sometimes call it like corkscrewing to come back down into that place. And in the pauses between exertion, I'm going to reference like coming back to that inner sense of belonging. Many years ago, before I began teaching yoga in prison, I was working at a retreat center on Orcas Island. And the director there kept finding that the staff, or she perceived that the staff, were taking things that weren't theirs to take, like pencil or paper or this and that object would go missing. And it could have been, of course, just her perception that this was happening. But people had a felt sense that we lived at this retreat center and we were there for minimum wage and lodging and food and to help the guests. And so in some ways we felt like we were a part of everything, and we might feel like family and we could just pick this up or pick that up and take it. But we didn't always see the impact that that taking might have on somebody else or some other system, like you're at the front desk and there's no pen, right? You meant to bring it back, but you didn't, for example. And so the teaching of Asteya is actually not taking that which hasn't been given to you, living with the confidence that what you need, you will have, and setting up your life in the West on this foundation. This is, you have to be very delicate about it because we aren't that well taken care of here in terms of we have to be a bit dogged to get our resources and needs pulled together. But as a philosophy, there are places you can apply it, like not taking that which hasn't been given to you, trusting that this inner sense of belonging becomes actually so satisfying. There's such a sense of wholeness from it that you don't feel the emptiness that sometimes causes you to take things that aren't yours, or to feel like you need more, or to take more resource than what you actually need. It is a simplification in our lives, actually. So we're going to corkscrew back down into that sense of belonging, and I'll reference it as that when we're having the teaching of the asana too. So please take your ankles and cross the right one over the left one, and cross at the shin so that when you touch the knees down, they're not actually touching the floor. Sit up straight and tall as well as you can. Please raise your left arm. And then exhale, twist to your right and place the left hand across your right knee, right hand behind you on a block or on the floor if the floor is kind of far when you sit up on your blankets. And invite your mind and your breath to kind of go in this sort of corkscrew or spiral process to drop down into the pelvis and the belly. Your next inhale, raise your left arm back up. And exhale, rotate back to center. Inhale, raise your right arm. And exhale, rotate across to your left. Place the left hand behind you. You're welcome to close your eyes and let the mind and the breath lead you down as if almost like a spiral staircase. You're going back down to the pelvis, to the base of your body. Encourage the breath to be smooth and nourishing. It does not need to be dynamic right now. This is not a vigorous pose. Ready, next inhale, raise your right arm. And exhale to unwind. Now cross your left ankle over your right. So switch the two legs. Now the knees are still lifted here, and I'm going to ask you to take the back of your left hand across the outside of the right knee. And when it goes down, I'd like you to place the palm so it's possibly going to touch the floor. If that's too far away, you can put a block there. So if you do it without the block, you do the palm like this. There is a forward bend, a lateral shift, and a side bend here. Then take the right hand to the right on the floor or on a block and twist to your right. And see if you can have a sense again of the corkscrew of the mind, the breath going down into your seat. And listen also for where in your body you naturally have some tightness from whatever your activities are during the day. You might have some areas of inflammation. And they can all get a respectful nod from you, a respectful sort of bow, that you are also here to improve your physical health. Exhale, rise up to center. And then take the back of your right hand around the outside of your left thigh. Place your fingers and perhaps your palm. Take the left hand to the side on the floor, or you can use blocks. And as you're twisting to your left, you might also catch a glimpse of the differences in your body left to right. And we can treat those differences with a kind of evenness of mind. And then with an exhale, please rise up to sitting. And now to make that more snug, take the left leg straight out and bring your right knee up to your chest like this. I'm going to reach for one of my blocks actually because now the floor behind me feels like it's too low. Okay, raise your left arm as you inhale. And exhale, cross over. Place the left arm to the outside of your right thigh. You can keep it as a straight arm if you like. That's one thing that I do because where my elbow is, when I bend my arm, I don't feel like I have the same support. But lots of people do bend the arm like this. It's kind of attractive. But you can also keep it down. It's still legitimate. And take your right hand behind you as you twist to your right. Now the twist is more snug, right? You can feel your right thigh and your abdomen against each other. So you're breathing in and breathing out. This is something that in any pose, you want the body and the mind to be collaborating so that there's enough ease for the breath to come down. It should not feel like you're sipping the breath or forcing the breath right now. Exhale, rotate around to face forward. Bring your left knee in, take the right leg out. Okay, inhale, raise your right arm. And exhale, cross your right arm over. And walk your left hand behind you. Rotate to your left. And listen for the inner attitude that you have with the journey of the breath and the mind. If we sense that we're going down this spiral staircase or this corkscrew to come back home to ourselves, that's a very beautiful and nourishing attitude. But if we were to sense that we're kind of drilling down so we can sort of eradicate some sense of badness or some sense of unworthiness, that's a very different place to practice from. So I'm recommending the first, that you're spiraling down to come back home to what is most deeply true. Please exhale, come around to face forward. I have to check something. One moment. Hannah, did you mean to raise your hand? You can raise your hand if you want. But maybe you just raised your hand by mistake. It's an electronic hand. Okay. All right. Now let's slide forward of the blankets as you're sitting on them. And what I want you to do is slide down to sirsana. So not everybody sits this comfortably on the floor. I understand that. But if you put the feet, so you've got your left foot, then your right foot, or your right foot, then your left, whichever one you choose. We're going to switch them up. When you place the feet like that, the knees go out wider. If this is not a comfortable position for you, I'm going to recommend that you sit up higher and have the knees out wide, like this is a tripod base here, a bigger tripod. And then take the back of the left hand around the outside of the right thigh, and this time place your right hand on your right thigh on your left hand, so it's really secure, and make a side bend towards your left thigh. And there's a little twist to the right, so the side bend is to your left and the twist is to your right. So if you were sitting on the edge of a chair, for example, because crossing your legs like this is too hard, you could still place the back of the left hand on the outside of the right thigh. You could still have the side bend to your left and the twist to your right. Notice how the breath comes in and how you grant permission, like all the places in the body that tend to hold tension or apprehension, if they could grant permission, if they could say, welcome to the breath, what might that feel like for the breath to arrive deep down in the pelvis? You twist to your right one more time. And then exhale and rise up to sitting. Place your hand out over your knees and listen for the kind of inner shimmer that your body does, this like effervescent thing that happens after the pose. Sometimes I like to call that the echo. And then switch the feet. So put the other foot inside or outside, come down into your seat. As you take your seat, the knees are wide. So bring the back of your right hand to the outside of your left thigh and support your right hand with your left hand. Side bend to your right and twist to your left. Just give yourself this luxury of kind of the inner quiet of the journey. Nothing else needs to be done right now. The exterior world can take care of itself for a time. You are right here, right now. I mean, the most important, essential journey. And with an exhale, please rise up to sitting. And again, rest in the echo. I sometimes do call it that, or the shimmer. It's like the light went across the water and there's a little shimmer. I'll do one more in this sequence of twisting poses. So if you'll sit now so that your knees are bent and your feet are flat on the floor, and the feet can be just a few inches in front of your hips, whatever you determine to be the appropriate spot. What I would like you to have is a sense that your thighs are like 45 degrees to the floor and the torso is going to be about the same, right? So if you were to put your hands over your knees, that might be a way to measure it, something like that. And then cross your left hand over your right knee. Take your right hand behind you, turn the fingers to point away, roll the right shoulder back, and then twist your upper chest, and then the mid torso, and then the lower belly to your right. And look over your right shoulder, even if the eyes are closed. With the heart like a little bit of a back bend in this twist. Press firmly into your right arm so the shoulder rolls back and down. And then as you're twisting to your right, turn the back of your left hand to the outside of your right knee and start adding a little pressure right there. So the left hand can press against your right knee and the right knee presses back against your left hand. In the corkscrew idea, start rotating the upper chest, mid torso, lower belly with each twist. Each time you sense the twist, and then inhale, raise your right arm. And exhale, come back to center. There might be a little shimmer again. Now take the right hand over the left knee, left hand behind. Point your fingers back towards the space behind you. And you can just begin with a twist to feel out where is your body's flexibility or suppleness this morning. Roll the left shoulder back, open the chest and heart. And listen for the inner attitude of the breath. If we come to the practice with a sense that we're coming home, that we're returning to this inner sense of belonging, that's going to shape our attitude and also our respect and appreciation. In the back of your right hand to the outside of your left knee. And as you're twisting to your left, press your right hand backwards against your knee. It's going to give you a little more activation in the lower abdomen. And try to sense that corkscrew idea from the uppermost part of your twist, head and chest and mid-torso, then down to the inner belly. I'll raise your left arm. And exhale, come around to center. And lie on your back, please. So lie really still. This is not a premature Shavasana. This is on purpose, just to rest and feel. Now, what is happening in your body? What information are you getting? What access do you have for that inner sense of homecoming? Okay, please reach for a block and a strap. We're going to do one more thing here on the floor. This is not new to you, but these things are going to contribute to what will happen when we stand up in a while. So I'd like you to take this loop and place your right foot in the strap with your right hand. And in some cases, that loop can be relatively small, like in my case. I don't have very long legs, and this is a really long strap. Okay, so you got your hand in there, and we'll go up vertically first. We are going to go out to the side. That's where the block's going to come in to play. So for the moment, lengthen out through your left leg, straight on, and your right leg up. The word straight is not used when we say take the right leg up, because not everyone's going to be able to straighten their knee, and not everyone will go to vertical. Some of you are going to need to bend your knee and make this a reasonable experience for your hip socket, and others can have the leg straight. Okay, let's inhale smoothly. And when you exhale, curl your chest and head up towards your right leg. When you inhale, roll back down, lower thoracic, mid thoracic, and then your head. And then exhale, roll back up. Inhale, roll down. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, roll down. Exhale, roll up. Last one. Okay, now take your left hand into your strap instead of your right hand. Raise your right hip up off the floor so you actually lift it. You could think of the left leg as getting more grounded. The right hip comes up and it's lighter. And then as you're coming across, we only go across so far as your right shoulder stays grounded. And also the breath stays smooth. So if you hit one of those like IT band surprise moments and you're holding your breath or you're flinching or fighting, that's a sign to back off a bit in the pose. And go to the edge where you feel like you can be at this kind of threshold, right? Where you need just enough attention not to tip over, but you're not straining to stay where you are. There's no sort of specific pursuit of an end range in the pose. It's something of an internal journey, not an external measurement. And then with an inhale, raise your right leg up. Now take the block and place it flat so that when you come onto the block with it's called your greater trochanter, that bony spot on the outer thigh, that's going to be up on the edge of the block there, and hold your strap with your right hand so that now as you open out to the right, there's really no chance of tipping over to your right because the block is preventing that from happening. And as you go to the right, you can say hello to the inner right thigh. And you can also say thank you to the inner right thigh. Imagine this process where you're going down with the mind each time the breath is also coming back down, even if the right leg feels fascinating, dynamic, excruciating, whatever is going on. Keep the breath and the mind as your focus. And with an inhalation, raise your right leg back up. Release your strap, and now lower your right leg down next to your left and go slowly. So you can sense there's a certain weight to your leg, but there's also going to be this kind of weightlessness that can happen because you've done some resolution of lymph and myofascial, musculoskeletal. So feel into the right leg. And then place your block on the other side just to have it at the ready, and bring your left leg up into your strap. With the left foot up in the strap, reach out through your right leg through the back of your heel. And decide where this is appropriate for you, how close or how far. And then we inhale when we're down or returning, we're going to exhale to curl up. Exhale, curling up. Inhale, returning down. So that'll be at your own pace, of course. So if, to the extent possible, to have a sense of a complete exhale and a complete inhale. And when you feel ready to, let's take the left hand inside the loop with the right hand. And we're going to be going up with the left hip and then across the midline of the body. So first you have to go up, tone the right butt because you're going to roll across it. And bring the left arm out to the side and make a commitment to only come down into this pose before you're tipping. Now left shoulder grounded. The left leg is strong. It's not lax. It's not like it's hanging out there in the strap. And as you breathe in, make it smooth and joyful. You're coming back home. You're coming back to that home that is a deeper indwelling sense of your essential nature, what's really true. And we're going to inhale, raise back up. And take the block so that it's flat on the outside of your right thigh, left thigh, excuse me. I'm not mirroring you. Hold the strap with your left hand, rotate your left toes and your left knee to your left and come out to the side. I'm just going as far as the left inner thigh welcomes. Not as far as it can go if you're going to force it, but as far as it welcomes the experience. Imagine operating your life and even your yoga poses from this place that there is an indwelling belonging, an indwelling enoughness. And you're not even tempted for steya. So the practice of Asteya feels very natural. Please inhale, raise your left leg up and bone the muscles of your left leg so that as you're coming down, there's a sense of the leg and all of its responsibilities, and the muscles, the bones are there, but when your leg comes back down, and totally relax and see if you can get a bask in the effervescence or the afterglow of the pose. Then please bend one knee at a time. And we're going to transition sideways and then up to standing. When you come up to standing, you're going to need 2 blocks and at some point also a yoga strap, but you don't need your blankets. You can put those aside. I'm sorry that you guys can't see what I can see. There's a series of 3 little noses under this little hanging cloth right here, and they're all poking their noses out, watching me stretch. That's what they think I'm doing, is stretching. Okay, so let's put the 2 blocks. We've been practicing this pose, trikonasana, with the blocks like this, and I would like you to have your yoga strap within reach. We're not going to use it right away. I am going to tie my hair back just a second. Some of you are familiar with this online teaching and your hair ends up in your face, and that isn't very comfortable. So let's see if I got this. Turn it around and take it back up. Sorry for the delay. You guys can just bask. Okay, I just want this off of my face so I won't be distracted by it. Okay, so the yoga strap, you're going to need that not on the first round, but coming up here shortly. So please take your wide stance with the left heel turned slightly out and the right foot turned directly out. And the tall blocks can be here because we're not going down for this like big crease of the pelvis down to the right. We're really looking at the side body here. So inhale, sweep the arms wide. And then exhale, and as you come down, place your right fingertips on the blocks and sweep your left arm past your left ear. And press firmly into your left heel, your left foot, your left outer hip, and reach joyfully into your left fingers, your left arm. Listen now for how the breath moves. We are side bending to the right, but we are also twisting to the left. And what is the pathway of the breath if you were able to breathe in such a way as you're like, yeah, I'm really just coming home to myself. It's not that you're drilling down past some narrative that there's a brokenness or a badness that you have to eradicate to get back home. Bring your left arm past your left ear. Turn your gaze down to the right. Bring your chin a little bit towards your throat. You might notice the left side of your neck. And then exhale, rise up to standing and release the left arm down. And then turn your feet and take your blocks to the other side. So right heel slightly out, the left foot completely out, the left toes pointing to the left. Inhale the arms wide. And then come down slowly. So the left fingertips are in no hurry to find the block. They will find the block. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Root into your right outer heel, your whole right foot. Squeeze the back of the right butt so it's toned to support the integrity of your right hip joint. So kind of from the right hip to the heel, you're rooting. And from the right hip to the right fingers, you're rising. Press into your left arm to support the twist. Gentle as it might seem, you are twisting the upper back to your right. And sensing from inside. There is this home, you're already welcomed. You are already actually there. We simply feel like we've left home. Yoga says that's an illusion. When we come back to that sense of home, a sense of belonging, the instinct for steya is dissolved. Keep the right arm past the ear. When you turn your head down, try to keep your right arm really stable. Gaze down to your left as far as you can. And then exhale, rise up to standing. Relax your arms. Let's turn the feet to make them parallel. And then come down to Prasarita, Padottanasana. So this is symmetrical, which is nice after asymmetry. Reach back with your hands and interlace your fingers, please. Roll the shoulders open. And as you squeeze the shoulder blades towards the spine, also squeeze your shoulders back away from your collarbones and the shoulder girdles up away from your head. And notice how it's going. If you really relax and let the body welcome the breath, so you're not super directive with it, it's not even ujjayi, you're just saying, well, how is my body welcoming the breath? What is your relationship to receiving the inhale? Your next inhale, energize your legs, tone the inner heels, inner thighs, outer hips, glutes and hamstrings, rise up to standing. Release your hands and arms. And let's step into heel, toe, mountain pose. And stand really still. See if you can sense that kind of shimmer that I talked about before. Now you'll want your yoga strap, and the loop in the strap is going to be helpful. We're going to change the height of the blocks also. So if you take the two blocks, and let's say for now, let's put them on the medium setting, each one stacked on top of the other. So that's not our lowest possible position, of course. But turn your right foot directly out. I would say the blocks can be close to your right foot. Take the yoga strap in your left hand, put the strap, the tail of the strap behind you, so it's not going to hit you in the face. Okay, and then inhale, sweep your arms wide. And exhale, come down to your right. Bring the left arm up, and then you have the strap. You can see it there. So take your strap and either wrap it around your hand and then place your fingers just so you can secure it on the block, excuse me. And then sweep the left arm long, and you want to be able to pull up on the strap so it has some tension. So the left arm, you're going to press up, almost as if the back of the hand were trying to lengthen the strap up towards the ceiling. Root down into your right hand, so it's a very stable position. When you put the strap on and you're pressing up like this, we call that a closed chain in physical therapy. You've closed a certain chain because you have pressure to work with and against. So root into your left outer hip, left outer heel. You can explore the amount of pressure you want to work with, like how firm is the right hand on the strap. It's providing pressure against the left hand. Like if you were to let the left arm dangle, it would definitely change the experience you have in the left side waist, left leg, and left hip. So you press the left hand up, and notice how it changes your internal experience of the pose. In the left foot strong and the left outer hip stable. Look down. And then exhale, rise up, raise your left arm. Don't hit yourself in the face with the strap. Or if you do, don't worry about it. Okay, there's going to be a little shimmer, an echo. Let's go to the other side. Your right arm out to the side. Put the strap behind you unless you don't mind if it hits you in the face. And then we're going to come down. Cross over. Take a look at your strap. And then place yourself. So the firmness of the left hand on the block and the firmness of the right hand pulling up, those two things matter. You get to decide how much pressure you want to work with, so how firm, because you're adding pressure for your right arm to work against in a beneficial sense. So press into your right outer hip, right outer heel, and the back of your right hand. And then exhale, look down. So turn your nose all the way to the left as far as it will go. And then exhale, rise up. Release your right arm and your left leg in. Okay, the feet can be parallel for a moment. Your body's having a little cleansing process right there. Okay, come once more, please, to Prasarita Padottanasana, the wide leg forward bend. Now, when the torso comes down like this, the blood supply is going to be more directed towards your upper torso and your head. And see if the breath can feel more naturally directed into your pelvis and your lower belly, the deep abdomen. And then walk your hands forward in Prasarita Padottanasana. Stretch the fingers out. So your torso is going to be on a little bit of an angle. Turn the left toes just slightly out and bend the left knee. And feel into the inner thighs again, which were highlighted earlier in class and maybe also in your triangle pose. And then inhale, rise up to center, make the left foot parallel, turn the right toes out slightly and bend your right knee. Again, inhale, rise up to center, turn the right toes in, left toes slightly out, and bend the left knee. Press the left knee open to the left so your weight is in the outer left heel, outer side of the foot. And inhale, rise up to center. Turn the right toes out and exhale, bend your right knee. And then raise up to center, make the feet parallel, walk your hands back towards your feet, rise up to standing, and turn the toes out, come down to the jazz dance warm-up pose, like this, which you should feel really warmed up for at the moment. Jazz dance warm-up pose, it's symmetrical. It's also a place where you could sense the breath coming down into the pelvis and even the pelvic floor. Let it be delicious. You can feel the breath making a full pathway from the base of the spine, even up the back body to the heart, and then shoulder blades and collarbones. Inhale, rise up to standing, please. Turn your toes in. Okay, we're going to come down to the floor now for Janu sirsana, which is a seated forward bend. And I'm going to recommend that some of you use blankets for this pose. I would say maybe everybody benefits from a blanket at some level. So if you place the blankets, take a seat, and let's put the left foot in and the right leg out to start. So with the left foot in, it's kind of like before when we were doing sirsana, it comes in close like this. And the amount of blanket that you have under the pelvis should just be what you need to feel like your pelvis is upright. Like you're not falling backwards because the pelvis hasn't come up enough to tip forward, right? Okay, and then twist to your right towards your cat. Hey. You're looking for the treats. They're not in that drawer. No. Inhale, raise your left arm. And exhale, reach out over your right leg or over your cat. My honey. This is a forward bend. It's intended to be inward and downward. And there is a twist to the right as well. I want to encourage you not to think about how far forward can you bend, or is your head ever going to reach your toes? Will your nose ever reach your knee? But rather that you're going inside to a deeper home. Inhale, raise your left arm up. And then release the pose. Let's change the leg to the other side. So right leg in, left leg out. I'm our cat. So inhale, raise the right arm up as you twist to your left. And exhale, come over your left leg. And reaching in this direction, again, it's an inward and downward pose energetically, we would say. So those of you who have been studying this pose encourages healthy tamas. It's more grounding. It supports appanavayu, the downward flow. It also helps samanavayu not to go up, but to be redirected to go down. Therefore, it's kind of soothing for vata dosha and increases the kapha dosha. And then pitta can become its right-sized relationship to vata and kapha as well. And inhale, raise your right arm as you rise up. And then rotate to center. Okay, I'd like you to have your 2 blocks and 2 blankets now, because we're going to do a restorative pose for Shavasana, and then we'll have some time for meditation. So if you take the 2 blankets and you unfold them like this, and then fold it in half twice, length to length. Lay these down your mat lengthwise. So that's going to feel to some of you like a pretty big curve right there for the lower back. So an option would be to take the very top blanket and round it down until its little firm edge here is actually rounded towards the floor like that. I call that the on-ramp, the gentle on-ramp. Okay, and then you can sit in front of your blankets, not directly on them. When you lie back, then reach up behind your head to curl the top blanket under the shape of your neck. And then we take the 2 blocks and they go under the knees. This is called Suptavada Kanasana. Something that I really like to do in this pose is to use my sandbag. So 2 ways to use that. Well, 5 ways. 6 ways to use a sandbag in this pose, but I'm going to show you 2 options for this morning. So one would be that you place the sandbag across the lower pelvis, and you have to organize the sand so it's not hindering the deep belly, the lower belly. One of my other favorite ways to do this is to place the sandbag over the feet, which just feels inherently grounding and stabilizing. You can choose, and if you have 2 sandbags, you can use them both. And the palms face up. So this home that we're returning to, yoga calls that Ananda. And you can imagine it's kind of an indwelling place. If you want to take located geographically, it's deep down in the lower belly, in the seat of the self, the Svadhisthana. So rest your mind down in that region. So below the belly button, about halfway, above the pubic bone, about halfway, and back in towards the sacrum. Mind to rest there as if it were resting under the surface of the water. The water above is very still, and the movement of life beyond the surface of the water is not in your consideration right now. You have to keep returning your mind to rest in this home, the inner home. The habit to move away from there is very strong. So don't steal this opportunity from yourself to be in that inner sense of home. entire body to relax, to support the journey of the mind to be inward. Like your mind and your body to each be deeply restored. This homecoming is not adding to who you are, it is reminding you. Check that your hands and fingers, feet and toes, the whole of the body is deeply relaxed. The mind is allowed to make this return journey, is welcomed back home. That inner self having come home, let's raise the knees up slowly and stretch the legs out straight for a few moments. You can set the blocks aside. Take the curl out of the blanket under your head. And then roll to one side. And press yourself back up to sitting so that now we have time for meditation. Let's take a seat, the one that you prefer for your meditation. So you're not going to be distracted or uncomfortable. Rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes if you like. And again, that the external world does not need us to organize it at the moment. It's taking care of itself. You may have duties to return to, but right now, your time is still dedicated to here. And just briefly scan through the outer body to come back as if you were the space shuttle coming back into the orbit, coming back home. And imagine yourself arriving like a stone tossed into a pond. You're the stone going down to take a seat. You are not the ripples on the surface of the water. Relax your eyes and your tongue and your thumbs. It's a way of helping the mind to stay at ease. Recite to yourself silently these words. May I be at ease. May I be at peace. May I be at home. Be at ease. Be at peace. Be at home. The affirmative form where you say, I am at ease. I am at peace. I am at home. embodied form. Say, I am ease. I am peace. I am home. Simple. We say ease, peace, home. Please raise your hands to your heart. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Recording.